In this video, we will look at examples of method overloading. As example, I have already shown max method, integer finding maximum of two numbers. So I will take two integers, and here directly I will check if x is greater than y, then return x, otherwise return y. This method is for finding greatest of two integers. First of all, let us call this method from main method. So directly I will print its result. Call max by sending 10, 5. So it should return the result 10. But I cannot call this method because this method is not static. So I will declare it as static. Now I can call this one. So this max method will be called and it will return the result 10 because 10 is greater than 5. Yes, 10 is the result. Let us see what happens if I pass float type of values 10.5f and 5.4f. It's an error. I cannot pass float values. So the error is incompatible type. Possibly lossy conversion from float to int. So actually it is taking integer, so I cannot pass float. So it means a method written for integer cannot work for float type of data. So for float type of data, we should have different method. So I will write down another method for float type for finding maximum of two floats. Static float. Now here the benefit of overloading is I don't have to give a different name for a method. I can use the same name, that is max. So before object-oriented programming languages, in old languages, it was not allowed to give same name to multiple methods or multiple functions. But here it is allowed. So let us take float x and float y. Then here I will find out the greatest number and return it. If x is greater than y, then return x, else return y. Now I have one more method for finding maximum of two floats. Now you can see this error is gone. I will debug the program and show you. I will put a breakpoint here. Control F5. It has came into this line. Now I will press Shift F7 and let us see which method will be called. Yes, float method is called because here the data types are float. Let us finish the method. So it means when the parameters are of float type, this method is called. When the parameters are of type integers, then this method is called. So different methods are called depending on the parameter. So this behavior is nothing but polymorphism. The name is same, max, but the method calls are different. So this we call it as polymorphism. Behavior is different, changing depending on the parameter. And we are achieving this polymorphism with the help of method overloading. That is, we are writing more than one method with the same name, like max and max here. Now let us try more methods. I will remove this f. See what happens. It's an error because by default these literals are double, right? Nothing is written means double. So if I read the message, it says that no suitable method found for max double. So there is no method for double. So it is expecting a method with double. So if you really want to find maximum of two doubles, then you should have one more method for finding double. Now let us change this data type to integer type. This is integer. Now let us see the next thing. Which method will be called now? This int will be called. But I will change this data type to byte and see what happens. There is no error. But let us check which method will be called. I have started debugging. Now Shift F7. Oh, float method is called. What is the reason? See, these are integer literals And for integer literal, the suitable method is float. We don't have a byte type of literals, so it is not calling byte. It is not calling this method because these literals are not bytes. So it means this same float method will work even if I don't have this method. Yes, let us check it. I will remove the breakpoint and this byte method, I will cut it off from here. Now there is no error. It means these are integer literals, but this method will be called. It means the same method works for float as well as integer. Yes, the result is 10.0 because this method is returning a float. So we got the result. So single method works for integer as well as float because integer is compatible with float but not double. Now let us write down the same method byte. Inside main method, I will declare two variables, byte type, byte A assign 10 and B assign 5. Then inside the method call, I will pass A comma B. Now let us see which method is called. I will put a breakpoint here, run it, shift F7. Now this byte method is called. So it means here the data types are byte type only because I have declared the variables of type byte and I am passing those. So now directly it is matching with this one. So this method is called. So he learned two things, that float can also work for integer. But if you pass integer data type, this method will not be called, right? Byte works only for byte type of data. I will show you one more thing here. I will write one method, static int max, and this takes integer x and integer y. Let us see whether it is allowed or not. X is greater than y, then return x, otherwise return y. Now I have one method with byte and one method with int. And here I am calling a max method which is passing two byte values. So which method this method will be called? Let us run and see whether it works or not. Yes, it is working. So we can have two different methods with a byte as well as integer. And when you pass integer type directly like 10 and 5, then integer one will be called and byte method will never be called. Byte method will be called only if you are passing byte as parameters. Next, I will show you one more method. So I will remove this byte as well as a float type. I will remove these just to reduce the size of the program. Now I will write down a max method for finding maximum of three integers, integer x, integer y, and integer z. If x is greater than y and x is greater than z, then return x. Else if y is greater than z, then return y, else return z. So this is finding maximum of three integers. Inside main method, I am calling it by passing two parameters. Now instead of two parameters, I will pass three parameters. Let us see whether it works or not. Yes, it is valid and it will call a method with three parameters, 15. So this method is called now. So this shows that we can have more than one method having same name max, but parameter list must be different. How a parameter list can be different? Either number of parameters must be different or the data type should be different. So already we saw by changing these two parameters of type float, now we have three parameters. So number of parameters are different or types of parameters are different. Now lastly, one more thing I will show you. I will copy this code and I will paste it here. Now it's the same method. It's an error. So you cannot have two methods with same signature. Everything is same. So this is not allowed. So the error message is method max is already defined in class. So this is already defined. So if I change the data type, let us change one data type. but I will change it to byte now. Yes, there is no problem. Again back to integer. Now one last important thing. The return type, I will change it to float. Still it is an error. And the message says the same thing. Method max is already defined in class. So if everything is same but the return types are different, this is float and this is int, means these are not two different method, it is the same method. So return type is not considered in comparing two methods. Only method name and the parameter list is checked. So that's all about method overloading. Practice this by yourself.